Sorry to be getting to you at an odd hour. I was going to be making a video about what I've eaten my first week of starting to eating better, but I wanted to talk to you about something a little more serious, and that is about the protests that are going on over the murder of George Floyd in Minnesota. I'm sure many of you know about it, and I don't know if you're like me, but in my city, there were some protests over the weekend and they got a little bit out of hand. And there was some damage to some um, buildings and some businesses and some looting. And I just wanted to talk a few minutes about what's been going on. Um, I see things on both sides of the spectrum. I feel like your right to protest is such a wonderful right and down to the fundamentals of what makes America a great country. It's a long time coming. It's unfortunate. These aren't isolated incidents. These have been happening for years and years, and it's time that something be done. It's time to stand up and take a stand, because if you don't stand for something, you'll sit for anything. You know, growing up biracial, I've seen racism on both sides, and I am by no means an expert, but what I will say is that growing up, I have received much more racism, um, being referred to as an African American or a Black person than I have in any other way growing up in my life. I fear for my family. I fear for my father. I fear for my brothers and my nephews. I fear for young Black men in America. It's open season on them right now, and it's disgusting. Police brutality doesn't just happen to people in Black America, it happens across the spectrum. But in the case of so many things you see in the news, it does seem to target one particular class of people, and it's definitely time to take a stand. With that being said, I don't condone any sort of looting or damage to property. It loses its message. I found myself over the weekend, there was a protest right at my corner saying out loud, this is not the message that Dr. King had when he had his I Have a Dream speech. But I can also understand the frustrations. But I do not in any way condone violence or stealing. Um, I think the best way to fight fire is with fire. I think you need to be the change you want to see. I would tell every young person or old person that's affected by this, be the change you want to see. I'd love to see police departments be flooded with applicants of color to take the police exam and become police. I'd like to see race be something we talked about. I'd like to see people drop the white guilt and the white shame. I'd like to hear race be talked about open and honestly. I'd rather someone love me or hate me to my face than backstab me behind my back. It's the year 2020 and there's no excuse for it. It's ugly, it's stupid, it's unnecessary, and more than anything, it's hurtful. And it cannot go on. But I think in order to change, we have to be the change. I think we need to stand up and we need to talk about race open and honestly. If there's a stereotype, you need to break the stereotype. If you're teaching your children to hate, you need to stop teaching your children to hate. Let them make up their own minds. There's nothing wrong with dating outside your color. We're still human. There's nothing wrong with befriending someone who speaks a little different than you or has different religious beliefs than you. We're all united. We all bleed the same. It sounds sappy. I can't believe that I even have to repeat it. But it bears repeating because there are some thick heads that don't seem to understand. And as for my channel, I like to be a voice for everyone. But being that this is my channel, I would ask, if you have hate in your heart, if you are a prejudiced person, please just unsubscribe. Please just go away. There's really no place here for your intolerance and your hatred. I believe everyone deserves to be treated the same with dignity and respect. And if you can't abide by those rules, there's really no need for you to visit my channel. I wish you well and I'll pray for you because that's what you need is prayer. Because there is something fundamentally wrong with you if you hate based on appearances, based on religious beliefs. There's no need to hate someone just because you don't look like them or you didn't grow up with someone like them. Or years ago, your father was robbed by someone that looked like someone, or your mother was slapped by someone that looked like someone. It's time to take ownership. Ownership in our country. Let's remember history. What this country was based on, what its past was, what's been done in the past, and what leaps and bounds we've made. Let's own it all, warts and all. It also doesn't help that we have a leader that perpetuates hate. It's ugly to hate. It's not godlike to hate. It's not kind to hate. It's time to bring this stuff to the forefront, have civil conversations with each other, come to some sort of agreement, or reach mutual respect for one another. And to the family of George Floyd, my condolences. And again, for people that say, maybe he did something, he deserved it or something, or this is an isolated incident. No, it's not. 4 or 5 times a year, you hear the same story over and over about police brutality. Now, I'm not bashing police. I have a brother who's a police officer. I have a cousin that's a police officer. And I'm sorry to say, I don't have much respect for police officers. And I know that I should. It's not that I don't respect them. I just don't have a lot of trust. And I feel it's up to them to earn the trust back. But I respect everyone the same. But if you see something, if you see injustice going on, stand up for your brother, even if they don't look like you. Lend a helping hand. Be an ear when someone needs someone to listen to them. Be kind. It's what you're supposed to do. It's the right thing to do. It's what you would want to be done for you. Now I'm off my soapbox. I just wanted to leave this message because it was pulling at my heartstrings. I thank you for anyone that took the time to listen to my full message. And until I talk to you all again, I wish you well. Have a good night. And I'm sorry about the lighting. I'm in my bedroom. It's pretty dark in here. Have a good night. Peace.